Marcus, you take care of us with the insight that you provide every single Wednesday. And this is coming on the heels of the NFL draft. Some Wolverines were obviously selected. I'm curious your take on their landing spots, starting with Devin Funchess, who landed in Carolina.
Well, starting with Devin Funchess, I think where he got drafted early second round, that didn't surprise me. I saw him as probably the fifth or sixth, maybe seventh best wide receiver, and it all comes down to which team likes you the most and who else is available. So Carolina needed a wide receiver. Funchess is the type of guy that's going to move around. He's going to play. I can see in that system, he play outside a little bit. They'll slide him inside and move him around the way the Patriots do with Gronkowski. And I've been watching him train, and he's starting to mature. So I hope everything works out for young Funchess. I spent some time with him, man, during spring ball, training table, and going out to eat and just, sitting down talking. So, he had his mind together, man, and he just said, a lot of people don't understand how much of a blessing it is just to hear your name called. But to go that early, I thought was good. He's going out there to play with Cam Newton, and he has an opportunity. And then, we'll see how that plays out. But I think he's a good fit for their system.
Yeah, got a chance to talk to his trainer this weekend. He's already getting ready to go back and do some more speed training with Stan. He's going to try to get down to, get some throwing in with Cam Newton early. So hey man, you mentioned his mind being right, and that triggered that conversation that I just had. And he is, he's working hard to be ready as soon as training camp starts. So good for him. Then you have Frank Clark, Marcus, and I know I was certainly surprised by where he was drafted. Seems like an ideal fit for him. That's one part that I want you to address. Now you have, it's become a national story, the criticism that Seattle is receiving. And again, we got to separate the question of guilt or innocence. I don't think it's about that. Who knows at the end of the day what really happened? I think what the Seahawks are catching criticism for is it just really looks like they didn't do – it looks like the only person they talked to about it was Frank. It looks like they didn't talk to – and maybe some team officials, but they didn't do much of an investigation beyond that, and they're catching a lot of heat for it.
Well, at the end of the day, this is what I text Frank Clark. I said, just like I always say, when you think things are falling apart, they might be falling, in place. This was a couple of months ago when I saw Frank at training camp. And see, the whole thing is it doesn't really matter what every other team thinks about you. If somebody likes you enough and they want you and you fit their system and you're a second-round guy, listen, I think I've been through the process of the NFL draft, having background checks and all types of things. I believe deep down that the Seahawks did look into it, and I think they probably got the real story, and maybe not just from Frank. I probably can't prove that, but I just know how the NFL works. They're not going to draft the guy who's getting ready to go to jail. They're not going to draft the guy that's probably going on probation or getting ready to serve 2 months for alleged DV. So I think they probably did their due diligence, but at the end of the day, when they sat down with Frank, they saw he was a good-hearted kid who got caught up in an unfortunate situation. Lessons were learned, no charges. Nothing came out of that we know of or whatever happened, and then everybody else has moved on. But America wants to see a lot of these young people get punished whenever, to me, DV is like is the new rape charge. So if a guy has that stigma, boom, hey, allegedly he did this, then everybody wants to see the double jeopardy of the law getting with him and then him not getting drafted. Well, in Frank Clark's situation, the young man went out, and in this life, you never know how things play out. It happened right during football season. We don't know why it happened, but he had to sit out, and that was an opportunity for him to either get bitter or better. He went, he worked hard, he closed his mouth. I believe he told the truth to the people who needed to know, and at the end of the day, it worked out in his favor. So the criticism the Seahawks are taking, is just because of where the world is right now with violence, domestic violence, which is a terrible thing for anybody to experience, male or female. So at this point, the Seahawks said that young man can help them win. He's a great fit because he's a tweener. He's an edge rusher who can also drop. He's athletic. He fits right along with the rest of their linebacker core. Pete Carroll is no stranger to dealing with players who have had adversity. I mean, he coached at USC for crying out loud. So, that's another junior prison that's out there. But at the end of the day, man, things worked out for Frank, and I believe he's going to have a great career in the NFL. I'm just happy to see a kid get a second chance because you never know. He may have gotten injured against Ohio State, or he may not have worked out as hard if that one isolated incident didn't happen in 2014. I don't know about the rest of everything else, but that, I think, triggers something special in Frank. And sometimes you have to get your egg cracked in order for what's inside to come out.
I think, and we had this discussion yesterday when the Seattle Times article came out on this, and, my position is the same as it's always been. I can't say with any certainty what took place. I don't know if he's guilty or not. What I do believe, though, is that the way that they handled this brought extra. There was going to be scrutiny regardless if you take Frank Clark. But I think that they brought extra scrutiny on themselves and on Frank by how they approached this, because they gave the impression, like you just said, it's the NFL. You do these thorough investigations. Then it comes out, man, in 2 days, the Seattle Times does a mini investigation, and they have accounts of more people than the Seahawks did who admitted they didn't talk to the young lady or her mom or anybody in her family. They said so. They made it appear that the only person involved in whatever happened, the only person that they talked to about it was Frank. The only person that was there that they talked to about it was Frank.
Yeah, see, the whole deal about that is most NFL teams let the law do what the law does.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? And because once you start to get a bunch of opinions of, beyond what took place that comes out in a court of law, then you're going to get a lot of speculation and opinion and stuff that people really just probably things that aren't probably actually factual. So, but I think the Seahawks got a great draft pick in Frank Clark, and a young man who experienced some adversity before he got to the league. It wasn't like a Ray Rice situation. Whatever happened before he got there, and apparently Frank did a good job of selling himself and letting some people know he's changed or that he's learned. Same thing with Jameis Winston. It doesn't, he had his share of whatever. It wasn't domestic violence. It was other stuff. But at the same token, when you're a great talent and somebody wants to take a risk on you because you convinced them that you've changed or that you're low risk, then all's well that ends well.
Gotcha. We're talking to Marcus Ray this morning here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. So, Marcus, next, Jake Ryan, goes to the Green Bay Packers, and it seems fitting, man. The guy, not to say that he's going to be Clay Matthews, but that was the guy that for part of his career he was compared to.
About 2 months ago, Sam, right around the time when these guys were at the Combine, we did this Rays of Light segment, and I predicted that Jake Ryan would go to the Packers. If you go back through the podcast, nobody believed me, and I said he was like a poor man's Clay Matthews, meaning that, he probably is not that caliber of talent, but he has the same type of skill set when you look at his height and his weight and what he brings to the table. And I thought he fit that 3-4 system in Green Bay very well because Jake played out of position last year. Let's face it, I don't think that did him any favors. It was probably more so for Michigan's defense than it was for Jake. But I still think he was an outside player the entire time. The NFL scouts knew he was an outside player. Larry Foote now is sliding over into the coaching realm. He watched tape on Jake and was saying, he could see him playing an outside linebacker. in a 3-4 system, whether it was the Steelers, whether it was the Packers, or even Arizona. So Jake had a great workout, and he's the ultimate team guy as far as he doesn't complain. He's just a guy that's going to go out and do his job. He's going to lead by example. He's going to give you all he has. But I think now he's going to get a chance to get some upper-level coaching from the NFL. And don't be surprised if Jake is a guy that winds up with like 6 or 7 sacks.
Well, Marcus, they're talking about the Packers are talking about playing him inside. I'm curious.
Yeah, they want to be able to move Clay Matthews back outside and put Jake as part of a tandem inside as part of their 3-4 defense.
Yeah, I'm curious if you think while it clearly wasn't his best season, if you think that experience that he got last year at Michigan will make him more prepared to handle that role in the NFL. It seems like it would. I know I'm just asking that question because of the projection that you just gave and that Foot gave that, hey, he's an outside guy. Well, might he look different now in the NFL based on having some experience at that position now?
I think so. A lot of times it comes with reps. So I'm glad, to answer the question, those bullets that'll start flying from an inside linebacker perspective won't be anything new other than maybe the speed of the game or the caliber of athlete he has to line up against. But as far as taking those reps, at inside linebacker. So he did the same thing in college. He played a couple seasons outside, season and a half, season or so in a spring ball inside. So basically, where the NFL is headed, especially in these 3-4 systems with a lot of hybrid players, they want you to be able to do more than one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So with Jake Ryan, they're getting a guy that can play both inside and outside, and then they're going to put like their best four together the way some people do in the secondary. They don't go 2 corners, 2 safeties. They go the best 4 defensive backs. But I think Jake's experience in the middle and on the outside and having his hand down at one point shows that he's versatile and that a defense like Green Bay can use his skill set, like you guys said, so they can move some other people around. But he's probably that piece, a puzzle piece that's missing from a versatility standpoint for their linebacking core.
All right, so a free agent acquisition, undrafted free agent, signed with the New England Patriots over the weekend. An organization that has an outstanding Hall of Fame quarterback, a quarterback, a college quarterback that made the transition to receiver. Seems like you got 2 real assets to tap into if you are Devin Gardner and you just signed with the New England Patriots.
Well, being that I lived that free agent undrafted life, not by choice, I believe if things would have went a little different, probably was late first, early second round guy. But I ended up having to live the free agent life, and I tell you, it's not easy. You don't get a lot of respect, even if you have a guy that played on the same alma mater on your team. I was out in California, and I played with Charles Woodson. I made the team on my own. But Charles being out there didn't do me any favors. A lot of people tend to think so. That's not how it works in the NFL. So for Devin to go out to the New England Patriots, Tom Brady's not going to show him any more affection and love. If anything, he's going to push Devin and expect more out of him if he wants to make the team. And if Tom Brady says, hey, I like Devin, then, yeah, they'll keep him. But Tom Brady's not going to keep you just because you went to Michigan.
Right.
He's going to keep you because you can help him win another Super Bowl. So Devin is up against the gun versus guys that have been there. They're going to sign a bunch of other wide receivers. So he'll be one amongst many. And if he's special enough, then he'll stand out. But the whole key for Devin Gardner is going to be he has to learn the playbook, number one, and show that he can add some depth because he's not going to be a starter. He's not even going to have an opportunity to prove he can start, okay? But he has to play special teams. And, he has to be a special player on special teams, and that's running down on kickoff, probably lining up at a gunner on the outside on the punt team, and playing punt return, showing that he can block some people. So to his disadvantage, he played quarterback in a system that needed him to play quarterback. but really, he didn't get a chance to do other things that could have allowed him to show that he has more to his arsenal besides throwing a football. Now he has to prove his toughness as far as running down, tackling people, blocking bigger bodies and linebackers, getting off a jam with grown men playing bump and run, whether that's in coverage or whether that's on special teams. So that's where he really has to make his mark. It's not really as a wide receiver. He has to show he's a football player. And special teams takes no talent. That's TNT. Takes no talent. It's all about effort. It's all about 1-2 and going down and doing something. And that's what Gardner's going to have to do if he wants to make that team.
Right. I get your point about, Tom Brady not giving him a pass, but I wonder if that connection is enough to, if you need some advice, you need a tip. Like you said, there are going to be a number of free agents. He can't talk to everyone, can't give a tip to everyone. I wonder if that kind of connection is something you can go to, guys. Say, man, what do you think about this? And then Julian Edelman, who took the same route as an undrafted free agent college quarterback, and then making the transition to receiver with the Patriots. I wonder if, again, a guy trying to do the same thing in Devin, if that's that'll be a resource for him.
Yeah, I think it will be a resource. Edelman will be for sure. Tom Brady will be for sure. Tom Brady is, he's a lot older now. He's wiser. So he's going to tell Devin exactly what he needs to do. Tom Brady's looking for anybody that can help him win. And if it's a Michigan man, then that's icing on the cake. But the whole thing with Edelman is, if you go into the right system, a couple guys may get hurt or get traded, and you show just a flash in the pan, and then you start to show a flash in the pan every time you line up. Now you become a guy that they say, all right, you know what? We might keep this guy because he can help us win. It doesn't really matter if you're a free agent or not. It just makes it harder because they don't invest any money on you. You don't walk in on a certain place on the depth chart. So to have a Julian there to be able to say, hey, what was your experience like? What did you do? I don't care who you talk to. The beat may change, but the lyrics are the same. You're going to have to work hard, outwork everybody, catch every pass, run down on special teams, be a team guy, make a few friends. Hey, Tom, throw me the ball whenever you here and there. Boom. Rub some people the right way. Every free agent who makes it, journey is pretty much the same for the most part about how they start and the opportunity that they're given. But you're going to nothing is guaranteed. So, like, when you're a second-round guy like Funchess will be on that team. They're not going to give him a huge sign-up bonus. Even if he's a bust or he can't get off the line, they're going to work with him as if it's a scholarship. Early-round draft picks are scholarships. Late-round draft picks are walk-ons, as if you want to equate it to the college rank. Mm-hmm. But we've seen guys come in as walk-ons, leave as captain of national championships and teams and done some other great things and get drafted. So anything is possible, but it's all up to Gardner.
All right.